Hello everyone, it's Omae and welcome back to the brand new video. Finally, we have the dual unit Robin and Saul in Treasure Cruise debuting as a Kizuna legend. Now overall, I must say, this unit is pretty underwhelming in my opinion. A lot of things that are wrong with this character. He can actually like sabotage your damage if you don't build correctly around him. And overall, I think his rumble stuff as well isn't too great, but we'll talk about that later on. So Robin and Saul is a strength, int, and striker cerebral character. I will talk about hybrid options later on because it's very dependent on what captains you're running, how good this character is based on their special ability. Because you'll see later on, we essentially need a 4-turn attack boost, or boost, and color affinity for this guy to be good, which is quite difficult, but we'll get into that a bit later on. First, let's talk about their captain ability. Reunion's Emotional Embrace. So in their dual form, they'll boost striker and cerebral characters HP and recovery by 1.3x, 6.25x attack when they have matching orbs, 5.5x otherwise. Doesn't boost any other types of classes even by a smaller boost, so you really have to be careful about who you're running. And then also makes strength and int and tandem orbs counters matching for your striker and cerebrals. And then when you take damage, 50% of that will be healed when you move over the stage. So very good healing, but in most cases the damage that the enemy does to you is on the final stage. So in most cases this healing will not ever activate, which I think is a bit of a miss. And also will reduce damage taken by 20%. This is great. It will allow you to survive death hits easier. And then if you have an attack boost or boost the color affinity, just simply boost it by 0.25x. I mean, it's just a really underwhelming captain in my opinion, and this is in the dual form as well. So first issue, 0 cooldown, both in their singular forms and also the dual form, 0 turns of cooldown. Only boost striker and cerebral, so 2 classes. Yes, both of them are becoming really strong, but still, it's only 2 classes nevertheless. And third, there's no utility. You can't count 20% damage reduction as utility, and that attack boost or boosted color affinity buff is just kind of insignificant. It should be at least 0.5 in their dual form in my opinion, because there really is not much of a difference between the dual form and the singular forms. In the Saul form, you have the 20% damage reduction. In Robin's form, you have the healing when you move across the stages. So there's really not much of a difference, only a small multiplier increase in their dual form. Overall, I think their captain ability is horrible. There's really no reason to run them as a captain, especially since their EX super can be activated as a crewmate. So yeah, really do not run this unit as a captain. Horrible option. When it comes to their special though, Overwhelming Thoughts at 15 turns of cooldown. In their dual form, it'll give everyone 2 turns of cooldown, which is great for getting around special rewind. Of course, this unit themselves negates 3 turns of special rewind. Then he will reduce damage taken by 80% for a turn, so of course surviving death hits and proccing a damage reduction based attack boost. And then we'll also apply weakened status to the enemy, not through immunities. This is a fairly strong weakened status though, 1.5x base, going up to about 1.9x if the enemy also has increased damage taken debuff. Then, if you have 4 or more destroyed pirates, giant, and Elbaf arc tags on the crew, so that includes himself, so 3 other characters, then the weakened status will go through all immunities, and you'll also reduce blowaway by 4 turns. So I mean, blowaway is still probably in the top 3 hardest debuffs to get rid of, and the fact that he just straight up removes it is great, of course. In my opinion, it's not good enough before the tag requirement. Like, if you don't meet this tag requirement, that's all the special is doing. 2 tons of cooldown, an 80% damage reduction, and a weaken that doesn't even go through immunities. However, I do think that requirement is not that bad. 4 more of those tags, mainly the fact that we have destroyed pirates there, it makes it so much easier. We have a similar effect in the new Elbaf Luffy Legends special. He needs 5 of these tags, and having 4 only required I think is great. It's a lot easier having only 4 units needing to have one of those tags. I do think if you meet the tag requirements, this is not a bad special. Just looking at that first part of the special here, 4 turns of blow air removal, weaken through immunities, cooldown reduction, for just speed farming or for getting around special rewind, a damage reduction for death hits, and damage reduction based attack boost. I think this is a good special if you meet the tag requirement. However, there's this extra part of the special. If you have two territories, a striker territory and an inter territory simultaneously, then we'll reduce your attack boost, or boost, and color affinity boost by 3 turns duration, but increases their multiplier by 1.75. Now, this would be great. Like, when I first read this, I was like, okay, super boss potential. However, you have to read this line here, up to a maximum of 6x only. Like, what's the point, bro? You're jumping through all these hoops. You need to have 2 very specific territories. You need to have your attack boost, or boost, and color affinity to have 4 turns or more. You're doing all that just for a very low ceiling of 6x. I mean, the 12th anniversary buggy, his attack boost in his special is already 6x, higher than 6x even. Like, what's the point if it's only going to go up to 6x? Like, I really don't see the point of this. There's way too many difficulties for very little payout, in my opinion. And if you don't meet the requirement of having the 2 territories, it will still give you a 1.2x increase in those buffs without the turn reduction, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if filled as territory in type and territory striker, reduces the duration and then gives the multiplicative buff to your attack boost, or boost, and color affinity. Otherwise, it just gives you a multiplicative of 1.2x only, going up to a max of 4.5x. So I mean, I don't think it's good. I really don't. And also, I just double check now, the captain ability, I mean the special, is the exact same in the singular forms and also in the dual form. So there's no reason besides to activate the EX super for you to use the super switch to get into their dual form, because usually for characters you get into their dual form with the super switch and then their special provides a stronger effect. This is not one of those units. Overall, really powerful super switch though. It will give a 2.75x chain minimum boundary. That's kind of it though. Like, the orb manipulation sucks. It's only her own orb into matching, and that's not going through block. Becomes dual form for a turn, I guess. But let's talk about the EX super. This is where it gets even weirder, because the EX super's main idea is to remove chain minimum attack down. But in most cases, with this super switch, you don't even have to worry about chain minimum attack down, because 2.75x is a very high chain minimum. Most of the time, that's enough to get past the chain minimum attack down, meaning you can just ignore it. So there's no reason for you to be removing it straight up. It would have made way more sense if this unit removed chain maximum attack down, which would make it way more helpful for high damage content. Very, very strange. And then the only other thing it's doing is giving the enemy resistance down of 30% to intense strength units. So your strengthening characters will deal an extra 1.3x damage. This will go through immunities, of course, but that's it. And the requirement is like pretty substantial. You need 3 or more Strike Pirates, Giant, and O'Hara tag units. Now, to be fair, if you're running this unit, you kind of have to run 4 of these tags for the special to be even good. But still, I don't think that's a really a good enough payout for how many units you need for that EX super. And of course, you do need to be in a dual form to get this EX super effect. And of course, it will be available even as a sailor. So there's a bit of issues here. For one, the captain ability is horrible. The special ability, if you don't meet that tag requirement, the special is horrible. Terrible special. Even if you do meet that tag requirement, there's this last part of the special, and there is a scenario here where you just happen to have an int and a striker territory. Perhaps you're running the int striker team with the new Albaf Strats and PKA Rodo perhaps. You get an int and a striker territory, but your attack boost, or boost, and color affinity are only 1 turn. This final effect here activates and just straight up removes your buffs. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how this works. If you will remove your buffs if you have below 3 turns or less of your buffs, will the special just straight up remove it, or at the maximum only reduce your turns to 1? This is a very important detail because if you have a striker in territory but are not prepared with a 4-turn buffs, it could actually ruin your damage by removing your attack boost, or boost, and color affinity. I'm not 100% sure if that's how it works or if it will only go down to 1 turn, but yeah, it's looking like that because yeah, you are getting that multiplicative buff to those attack, or boost, and color affinity regardless, but you will get that turn reduction. It's not stating that if you don't have a 3-turn buff or 4-turn buff, it won't activate the effect. It's quite rigid in the way it's worded here, but let me know your thoughts. I think this is a very dangerous special. It can really be a double-edged sword if you're not careful, and overall the fact that it's a 6x ceiling is probably the biggest issue here. It means that there's no super boss potential with this character. As I said, the captain ability is horrible. The switch effect, it's 8 switches to get that, by the way, which is just a chain boundary. That's all it's doing. So the super switch is way hard to get, and it's not that big of a payoff. And to top it all off, the EX super is pretty bad. It's a chain minimum attack done, which you don't even need the reduction of, since you have the chain boundary to just brute force through the chain minimum attack down anyways. I just don't understand this unit. Of course, there is this blowaway. Yeah, very strange character. They do have damage limit break class for striker, of course, so it's gonna go great with all the new Albaf straw hats and the new Hyridine, etc. And then also is going to give you the final tap, which is a conditional attack boost for defense down and paralysis of 3x for a turn, and a self-based attack boost of 500. This will stack with other buffs that you have. But yeah, pretty mediocre last tap there. Only 1.5x with level 1. Now, Rumble stats. I do think this unit is unnecessary, to say the least. Now, this unit is recovery style, has a very high defense and speed of 184 and 183 respectively. Unfortunately, still gets outsped by Emu, but the fact that these stats are 180 is really good. Usually it's about 150-ish, even a bit lower for some of these characters. Really solid overall. Good recovery stat, which is going to be extremely important for this kind of a character. He will resist forced out, which is great against particularly the Rumble Ace Dex Legend, who does force out recovery style enemies for 10 seconds. So having that evasion is really nice. And of course, slasher and free spread, damage taken minus 30%, which is of course going to be great. Now, what about the behavior pattern? He is healing in a medium range at level 2. This is going to do a lot of healing over time. Don't underestimate how good this is. The fact that it's not just to himself but also in a medium range is great. The special is 33 CT, which is extremely high in my opinion, but we'll see what he has to offer. So first off, his Rumble passive. Striker and Cerebral class, as well as Stride Pirate Tag units, get attack up level 6, speed up of level 6, and defense up of level 3. If 4 more Albaf Arc characters on the team, Stride Pirates get recovery up of level 6. If 6 or more Stride Pirates or Giant Tag characters on the team, when appearing on the field, Stride Pirate Tag units get 2 times recovery healing. So with his recovery, that's going to get about 1400 recovery, because remember, this is without cotton candies. With 180 extra recovery cotton candies, he's essentially going up to 800 base recovery in Rumble, which is about 1600 in total upon appearance. Now, I don't think that healing is that great, because we do have access to the Chopper Rare Recruit from the end of month batch, who is very similar in providing healing upon appearance, and I think he does a good enough job. After tasting the Stride Pirate Albaf team thoroughly, this Chopper is quite reliable in his healing. Upon appearance, target Stride Pirate teammates for 30% healing, which I think is going to be way more substantial than the 1600 from Robin and Saul. That unit is good enough of a recovery style character to the point where you really don't need Robin and Saul. Now, what about the other bits of the passive? I do think the recovery up is super unnecessary. This unit themselves is providing enough recovery. You really do not need that recovery up buff. The speed, attack up, and defense up is all really nice. And that's going to apply to a lot of units, not just specific tags. Every striker in Cerebral is getting those buffs. Having 4 more Albafok units, you definitely have to team build around that. And I don't think it's worth the recovery up. So, to be honest, don't even worry about getting 4 more Albeft Arc tag units on the team. It's really not worth the recovery up buff to your Stroid Pirates. However, I do think this final bit here, the 6 or more Stroid Pirates or Giant, is worth having. Yes, I said Chopper's better, but this is still a decent healing that you have to consider. That can be a massive help, of course. But the special here, 33 CT, at level 10 is going to reduce or give target striker and cerebral class as well as Stroid Pirates 700 HP per interval healing for 20 seconds. So over time, this is going to happen a lot. Every interval happens very quickly. Every time someone attacks counts as an interval. So this is going to be proccing very often. Interval healing is really powerful, and the fact that it's lasting for 20 seconds is great. And then if 4 more Albafok characters on the team, Stroid Pirates get a 100% chance to evade recovery bind and dot for 20 seconds. We all know how good characters that can evade dot are. Characters like Sanji Reiju, Pirate Rumble Legend Caesar. Both these characters are super good, especially because they allow dot evasion. Just a quick synopsis of why dot is so powerful. Each level of dot reduces 5% of your character's max HP every time they successfully perform a normal attack. So if the enemy has level 3 dot and they attack, they do a normal attack, they're losing 15% of their HP regardless of if they have a shield or not, how high their defense is. Dot goes through all of that. So just, that's insane. It's the reason why dot is such a broken mechanic in Treasure Cruise. So being able to evade that is great. Also the recovery bind, I'm not sure what meta characters actually recovery bind the enemy, but this is great. Of course, this character is centered around healing. You need to not have a recovery bind. So those are great evasions, and the fact that they last for 20 seconds is of course nice. If you have 6 or more Stroid Pirates or Giant tag characters, provokes 1 high defense teammate that is not himself, and then also gives that teammate level 3 defense up and a guard percent up of level 6 for 20 seconds. Now, if you don't know what guard is in Pirate Rumble, it's essentially a 50% damage reduction when the enemy hits you with a normal attack. So guard percent gives 5% per level. It's a 5% base. So guard percent up of level 6 is 30% increase plus the 5% base. It essentially means your high defense ally will have a 35% chance to reduce incoming normal attacks by 50% damage. Really powerful. And that defense up is also a really nice addition, right? Now, provoke is very similar to I would say target lock in regular Treasure Cruise. Essentially all normal attacks will be directed at this teammate. So that's great, of course, since they are going to be very tanky. And then if 8 or more Stroid Pirates or Giant tag units on the team, so every character has to be one of these tags, then targets that 1 high defense teammate for attack times 3 counter stance for 20 seconds and switches character with the second sub character. Now, counter stance is extremely powerful. Once again, it is a mechanic that's based on normal attacks. So if the enemy attacks a character with normal attacks and they have the counter stance buff, it means that they will take 3 times Saul's attack, so 2800 times 3, which is about like 8,000 damage when they attack this character that has high defense. So they'll take that much damage. But remember, this is not going through defense and shields, so it's not as good as dot, but it is a lot of damage regardless. Every bit of attack multiplier makes a massive difference for counter stance, and attack times 3 is really powerful, right? And remember, that unit is being provoked. The main problem with counter stance is that if the enemy attacks one of your other teammates, it won't activate the counter stance, so it's a bit harder to actually get it to activate. But the fact that he provokes and then gives the counter stance, and this will be for 20 seconds, means that a lot of the enemies will fall victim to this counter stance buff. And also switching with the second sub character, the second character on your bench, means that you can get characters like the new Rumble Rare Recruits Albaf Nami to come in, delay the enemy. The new Usopp from the end of month batch, Banner, he also comes in and delays the enemy. These can make a massive difference and turn the tide of the battle. So sub swap, we know how strong that is. And remember, when Saul goes to the bench, another character comes in. Then when someone dies or activates sub swap again, Saul will come in and do a healing again of 2 times his recovery. So I think it's a powerful special. Do I think it's pulling its weight though? Is this worth running a 55 cost unit on your team? I don't think so. I'm being honest, I really do not think so. For one, you need a really high amount of tags. I mean, for that final bit with the counter stance and the sub swap, which I would say is the meat and potatoes of the special, you need a full team of Destroyed Pirates and Giant Tag characters. So that makes team building extremely difficult. Second issue, 33 CT, and he's not giving any special CT speed up buff to himself. He's not giving any CT upon appearance. He's going to be difficult to activate. Now, I don't think that he will die before he gets his first activation, because that would be the main concern with a character that has high CT and doesn't give any cooldown to himself or the team, is that he would die before activating his special. I do think this character is fairly tanky. Now, I think the one thing that would have actually saved this character is providing a shield. Even a low level shield of level 3 would work. That can make a massive difference in battle. I just don't think he's warranting how high his CT is and how many tags he's requiring. The main thing here is dot evasion and the counter stance, and for both of them you do need specific amounts of tags. The interval healing, yes, it's great, but I think he's just not doing enough. There's something missing. The upon appearance healing as well, I think, is underwhelming compared to like Rare Recruit Chopper, and that's just a regular Rare Recruit Chopper, by the way. He can be pulled on any banner now. He's a regular Rare Recruit, and he has a better effect than the Saul and Robin, which is a Kizuna exclusive legend, by the way. So I mean, take it as you will. Let me know your thoughts, especially if you are someone who is experienced in Rumble. But until I see how powerful this counter stance is, I can't promote this character, right? But yeah, he's interesting. I do think he eventually could see play depending on how good the counter stance is, and also once the giant team becomes more full-fledged. But for now, both in regular content and in Rumble, I don't think Saul and Robin is a good character worth investing your gems into, right? Now, I will talk about the sugo-fest in general in another video, as well as the Nico Olvia Rare Recruit, as well as the Black Maria. And also I will talk about whether or not you should be pulling, although you can kind of guess my answer. We do have the Strength Vegapunk Legend as an available character in the sugo-fest, so that definitely does improve the value a lot. But overall, yeah, I really don't think you should be pulling here. But let me know your thoughts, of course. Make sure to like and subscribe for more analysis in the future. But with all that being said, oh wait, I want to show you guys quickly hybrid options or captain options that could help this unit in regular content. I almost forgot, man. Wow. So first off, not really a captain, but this is a great sub to run alongside this unit on a striker basis. Of course, not as a captain, there's no synergy there, but as a sailor, you can activate this EX super, or super type should I say, as a crewmate, and that'll just extend your attack and ore boost by a turn, which can really make a difference for Robin and Saul. But what about captains? This legend is a really powerful option. Of course, Robin is a part of the character, so you could only run this unit as a friend captain, not your own captain. But this unit will extend ore boost and color affinities by a turn, as long as you have 4 of these tags, right? So very, very easy. Robin herself, Robin and Saul unit, is a Paramythia type unit, so you only need 2 other characters that form one of these tags, which includes World Government as well, and you can get that extension, which can be extremely valuable for this unit. Of course, they are both a Cerebral and Striker unit, so there's really good synergy here. This character also reduces Bind in Pain as a captain. From their special will reduce defense up, which Saul does not. Gives you a color affinity buff. So you can use the swap effect of Saul and Robin to give a chain boundary, and then this special will give you a color affinity buff. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a clash here. They both inflict weaken, but I do think the hybrid is strong enough to be warranted running regardless. Removes removers effects, barriers with the super swap, with the super special. So yeah, I think this is a really strong hybrid option. What else? You can also run versus Law from Blackbeard versus Law. This unit will work on a striker basis. I think he's also striker cerebral, yeah. And he's really good for running along striker characters. If you're running a mono striker team, then this is an extremely powerful option because Law really wants to have a full team of strikers here to get the captain swap with the middle right character. This is a really powerful effect that is easily forgotten in Treasure Cruise, but it's really powerful if you do have a full team of strikers. Also gives the captain 20 tons of CD, which is just unbelievable, right? But yeah, really powerful hybrid option because he does extend attack boosts and color affinities by 1 turn as the captain. It also reduces despair by 10 turns, which Robin Saul does not. So yeah, a really powerful hybrid option. I am really excited to use this guy alongside them. Could be a great option for the Kizuna. But that's about it. I will go through more hybrid options when I eventually showcase Robin and Saul, maybe as a friend captain alongside my own units. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. And I'm out.